All right, let's talk about something that can be a real headache for businesses in India, navigating the world of GST billing. It is complex, to say the least. But today, we're going to break down a platform that was built from the ground up to tackle exactly that. So let's get into it. So, does this picture look familiar? You're trying to keep track of your business-to-business sales, your retail customers, and maybe even sales to government departments, all at the same time. And on top of that, you've got to keep your GST reporting spot on. It can honestly feel like you're drowning in spreadsheets and regulations, right? Well, if you're not in your head right now, you are definitely not alone. It's a huge challenge for so many businesses. But here's the good news. Instead of just dwelling on the problem, we're going to dive into a specific solution. We're going to take a close look at a platform called BillDEEP, which was designed for this exact purpose.
So what is this thing, BillDEEP? Let's get right down to it and figure out what this platform is all about.
Okay, so at its core, it's a software as a service platform, meaning you access it online. It's built specifically, and this is key, for the Indian market. And that phrase tenant scoped, that's just a fancy way of saying your company gets its own private, secure space to handle all its billing and compliance stuff.
So what can it actually do? Well, here's the highlight reel. It handles the whole 9 yards, from setting up your customers and products to creating invoices and credit notes, tracking payments, managing subscriptions, and crucially, getting your GST returns ready. And it keeps a full audit trail of everything, which is a lifesaver.
All right, let's pop the hood and start with the absolute foundation of any billing system. We're talking about the essentials, your customers, your products, and of course, the invoices that bring them all together. Now, this is actually pretty smart. The platform gets that you can't treat every customer the same. It knows the difference between a B2B, B2C, and a B2G customer. And this isn't just for show. Getting this classification right up front is critical because the system actually uses it to enforce different rules when you create an invoice later on. And to keep everything neat and tidy, the product module works like your master catalog. So instead of you having to manually type in product details and tax codes every single time, you just pull from the central, standardized list. It sounds simple, but this is what prevents a ton of errors and saves so much time. This shows you that making an invoice isn't just like filling out some random form. Nope, it's a proper, controlled process. You draft it, then the system validates it. Checking that a B2B invoice actually has a GST number before you can finalize it, lock it in, and send it out. It's all about control.
Okay, so you've created the invoice. Job done, right? Not even close. That's just the beginning. The next, and maybe most important part, is managing what happens next. The money, the payments, and all the adjustments.
And this is where the platform really starts to show its depth. It's not just a simple paid or unpaid status. You can record detailed payment info like UTR numbers. You can issue official credit notes that are linked back to specific invoices. You can set up recurring subscriptions. And you can even generate TDS certificates, which is a must-have for B2G sales.
Now we're getting to the main event. This is what the source material points to as the platform's real superpower. This is where it goes from just a handy billing tool to a full-on compliance machine.
I love this because it highlights a feature that's so subtle but so incredibly important. See, lots of systems can calculate GST when you first create an invoice. But what happens if you go back and edit that draft? BillDEEP is specifically built to make sure the tax amount is always split correctly into CGST, SGST, or IGST, no matter how many changes you make. It preserves what's called tax fidelity.
And this is all about financial discipline. Think of the GST period module like a time lock on a vault. Once a tax period is over and you filed your returns, you can formally lock it. This prevents anyone from making changes to old data that's already been reported. It's absolutely essential for keeping your books clean.
So, the end of the month rolls around. Time to file your returns. This is where all that careful data entry pays off. The platform crunches all the numbers from that locked period and gets the data ready for your GSTR1 and GSTR3B. It even generates those specific section-wise reports you need, and, most importantly, it lets you review everything before you file.
To really get a feel for any tool, you have to understand not just what it does, but what it doesn't do. And the source material is really transparent about this. So let's take an honest look at the platform's actual scope. This slide lays it out perfectly, clear as day. BillDEEP is a specialist. It's a tool for billing and GST compliance. It is not trying to be a massive ERP system that handles your inventory or your payroll or your customer relationships. And you know what? That focus is exactly its strength.
And just so we're clear, this isn't just some concept with pretty screens. The analysis confirms there's a real end-to-end automated testing system in place that validates the whole process, from customer creation right through to GST returns. Things like the audit log and that text split feature we talked about, they are actively tested, proving this is a solid working system. Now, in that same spirit of transparency, here's one important note. The platform has all the workflows ready for things like e-invoicing and filing directly to the government portals. But whether it's actually connected to those live portals depends on how it's set up for a specific company. So the functionality's there, it's ready to go, but flicking that final switch is part of the setup.
So after breaking all of this down, what's the bottom line? I think this one quote from the source material just nails it. The real power here isn't just in making an invoice. It's in that seamless marriage of billing with the very tricky operations of GST compliance. And the question that leaves for any business is pretty simple. Is that focus strength exactly what you need to finally get a handle on your financial workflow?